We have a question on this weekend that some of you might have wondered about after these first almost couple of weeks inside this season. Besides the obvious thing that this is the 532nd anniversary of the win of the Spanish forces in the Siege of Granada, pushing out the last remnant of Moorish forces from Spain, after hundreds of years of Arab control of the Iberian Peninsula. That's, I'm sure, something everyone already knew about. There is something else, though, for today. As a reminder, just for everyone not to forget, we now have an open Discord for everyone to join, with a link right down in the description, if you are so inclined to team up with the rest of all of the others who joined already. This has been an interesting tier because, if you have already forgotten, remember that at the beginning of this tier we have gotten the maximum item level of our new season increased by 13, basically increased by one full tier worth of item level. On top of that, we have received changes, which we can spell also as nerfs, to how quickly we were able to upgrade our gear, because we had a maximum of 10 upgrades per week with our crests in Season 2, and then in Season 3 we went down to 6 upgrades per week with our crests. So we got a season where the maximum item level increased by 13, plus we now are 40% slower in upgrading our items. This was a method introduced by Blizzard to try to slow down the speed with which our characters would reach nearly max item level after just a few weeks. If you remember, back at the release of Season 2, we did not have the mythic track of upgrade levels, meaning the mythic items dropping at 441 were not upgradable all the way up to 447, also meaning that the majority of the player's item level would be stagnating around 441, 442, 443. And this is what you were already able to reach in just a couple of weeks. By the beginning of the third week, you had yourself 2 crafted items at 447, 3 Great Vault items at 447, and the rest of your gear quickly upgraded to 441, bringing your average to 443, with the max item level of the season being 447. So you were 3 to 4 item levels below the max of the season, just at the beginning of the third week. Now, we are a few days away from the beginning of the third week, and if we were to make a comparison, by the beginning of the next reset, to be at the same item level, to be similar to the item level we reached in Season 2, you should be around 485 to 486. That should be the average item level if we want to be as powerful as we were in Season 2. Now, this is, for example, a ranking of the item levels of the guilds, including, of course, top level world first racing guilds, and these are the item levels where you can see barely only a few of the guilds can reach 480 and quickly lower down as you keep entering a more average level of guilds, which we are still talking about very good guilds, of course, top level guilds. Still, they are 477, 476, 475 and lower down. So we're talking about over 10 item levels lower than what we used to get last season. Last season, around this time, the majority of the guilds were around 441 to 442 to 443, which was just a few item levels below the max. Now, this disparity in item level obviously is only going to matter if you can feel it in the content you are doing. If anything, actually, at the beginning of this season, we might have actually felt the opposite, because Mythic Plus has been quite light, quite soft in these first 2 weeks. Think about how easily players have been able to do +20s right now, even 2 chest +20s, particularly soft keys in this season, in 460-ish item level. 460-ish item level is the equivalent of being 420-ish item level last season. So being able to breeze through plus 20s in that item level last season didn't feel nearly as easy as it feels now. Obviously, you can feel the impact of being able to upgrade less items compared to Season 2. You know, now, for example, we got in this week our second crafted item, and after you're done crafting it, you only have 2 spots left to upgrade your items with your aspect crests, compared to the 6 possible upgrades you could have gotten in Season 2. However, something players might have forgotten in the difference between Season 2 and Season 3 is that a very good quality of life addition was put halfway through Season 2. Remember that not just the myth track, so the extra upgrade track which allowed you to then push raid gear up to 447, for example, but also being able to now upgrade for free, for no crest cost, gear at a lower item level than your maximum item level that you had available. So if you have a 447 helmet already and you loot a 441, you can now upgrade that 441 all the way up to 447 for free. You don't have to spend crests, but just flight stones. This now is actually available from day 1 in Season 3. It's just here already from the beginning of the season. And this is a pretty good addition because it allows you to min-max your character way more with your secondary stats. Because now, of course, at the start of the season, you are going to be equipping everything you're looting, because it's going to be 470 compared to your 447 piece of gear you had from the previous season. So, of course, you're just going to equip it. But a few days down the line, a couple of resets down the line, you might be able to be in the privileged position of swapping around items that you'll keep looting in the same slot. Let's say boots, for example. The first pair of boots you put on was versatility and mastery because it was very high item level, even though your best stats were critical strike and haste. And then a few days later of spamming Mythic Plus, you actually do loot a piece of boots with crit and haste, your best in slot stats. Now that piece can be freely upgraded to max item level because you already looted a higher item level piece of boost. This allows you to min-max and tinker with your secondary stats much more easily now compared to Season 2. So technically you have fewer upgrades available with your crests because the amount of crests needed and the amount of crests you can loot every week have been nerfed, but at the same time you're also in the background cheating a lot of crests by being able to upgrade all of these items for free. So yes, the maximum item level between Season 2 and Season 3 has been increased by a full tier worth of item level, has been increased by 13. Also yes, the crests you are earning have been nerfed by 40% compared to Season 2, and even the crafted items actually have been nerfed from the max item level of Season 2, where the max upgrade level was 447 and the max crafted item was 447. In this season, they have also been nerfed, because now the max upgrade level of the myth track is 489, while the max crafted item level is 486. But you have received a good amount of quality of life additions in return. Also, at the very least for now, players haven't really felt the effect of having to climb more item level than in Season 2. You know, this new tier being 13 item levels taller, 13 item levels longer compared to Season 2 has not really been felt in the terms of the difficulty of the content. It's not that we are 13 item levels higher and the Mythic Plus has also scaled with the item level as well. As mentioned, many players have been able to do plus 20 keys in 460 item level no problem. So increasing the max item level of the season has definitely not made the season itself worse. The other quality of life change, which doesn't actually impact your item level, but it still has to do with the acquisition of your gear, is of course the catalyst. We have gotten the first charge in the first week, and now in a few days we will also have our second charge available. So that's basically a guaranteed 2-piece set bonus for everyone in the game from the 2 charges of the catalyst. Again, doesn't actually impact the item level of your gear, but makes it much more much more possible for many of the players, especially the non-raiders, to get their hands on their tier pieces. So we can say, almost a couple of weeks into the season, that this interesting set of changes when it came to the gearing process of your character in Season 3 has been rather successful compared to Season 2. Season 2 already added some cool additions, already had some cool ideas, like, as mentioned, adding the mythic track for the raid gear to make the early bosses more relevant in terms of loot, adding the backwards compatible gear feature of being able to upgrade lower item level pieces for free if you already have a higher item level piece in that slot. Those were very good additions halfway through the season, and now that we have gotten them from the beginning of the season, many players have been able to feel their use, their handiness in tinkering and min-maxing with their gear. So I think with the changes that might have felt at first glance, might have felt before the season even came out, like they weren't going to be that positive, like they weren't going to be that good, like you are still in Season 2, you're still reading just news about Season 3, about the next patch, and you hear that now Blizzard is increasing the item level of the season by 13. Now you will have to climb even more item level than Season 2. Some players might have taken that the wrong way. They might have thought the content was going to be harder, it was going to be slower to climb to that higher item level, and things will be more grindy. But now that we're almost a couple of weeks in, we can say that it didn't really have that heavy of an impact, or an impact at all, in how difficult or how you felt your character was progressing in the season, even though you had to climb more item level than before. You did climb more item level than before. If you think about it, we stopped Season 1 with players at 415-ish item level, and less than 3 weeks into Season 2, players were around 443 item level. So they jumped 28 item levels. Now in Season 3, players started at 447 and now they are 475. So they are again roughly 28 item levels in terms of increase. Yes, the item level cap is higher, because when you were 415, the cap was about 417. When you were 443, the cap was roughly 447. Now that you are 475, the cap is 489. So you have a much higher cap to reach in this season compared to Season 1 and Season 2, but it's not that you feel weaker in the season. If anything, it will make you even more powerful. It will trivialize raid bosses even more and allow you to push way higher Mythic Plus keys than before, as more and more players get into the 480 and then even 485 range of item level. So this is the thought for this weekend, talking about how exactly did this season go in terms of the changes to the gear acquisition and the gear system of Season 3, compared especially to Season 2. Let me guys know, of course, your thoughts about this season and how did you feel about the gear you looted, the gear you upgraded, etc, etc. I think overall it has been a positive change, but maybe some of you have some different thoughts, some different point of views on how this gearing process has gone in this season. Besides this though, I am going to leave you to the rest of your weekend. We are starting as usual the goodbyes by thanking all of the Patreon supporters for the contribution and the help to the growth of the channel, which can, as usual, still be given for free. You can like and comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel itself. Now, with these pointless things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching, see you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, okay, fine, it's sunny today, but as long as it's sunny while still being cold-ish, I'm okay with it. It's still fine.